And Miyetti Allah Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria, MACBAN, Southeast Zone, claims that some of its members have been languishing in prison custody without trial for the past 5 years. The Southeast Zonal Chairman of MACBAN, Alhaji Gidado Siddiqui, who spoke in Awka, described as regrettable the way some herders were being labeled as kidnappers and armed robbers and eventually dumped in correctional centers. He appealed to the state government through the Ministry of Justice and the Prison Authority to look into the matter so that members in the prison custody will either be freed or tried according to the laws of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The association says that any Fulani herder caught in any criminal act in the course of discharging his legitimate business will be dealt with in accordance with the laws of the association. Okay, Dr. Constance Ikokwu, Arise News analyst, joins us now to look at some of these issues. Hello, Constance. Nice joining us on Newsnight today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, MACBAN's voice is resonating. I mean, as usual, some will say that, you know, a couple of years back, it was like they bestrode the entire length and breadth of Nigeria. How do you describe this outcry against its members?
Well, this is an ongoing issue in Nigeria's security challenges. It's not only about the MACBAN. There are so many other parts of the country where the challenges are difficult and overwhelming. I mean, there is an argument to be made that the problems that we face can be overwhelming for any president, any security force. And even if you have exceptional abilities, it might take a lot to arrest the present conditions. Having said that, with leadership comes responsibilities. Now we have new service chiefs that have been appointed by the new president, and then we have a new Inspector General of Police. I'm sure they're listening to all of these things that are happening, with the pastor that was also killed in Ogun State. Nigerians are then looking forward to see what they have to offer. Will there be fresh thinking? Would there be something different from what we saw in the past 8 years? They have a lot of work to do, and we're waiting.
Yes, indeed. And let's even look at the desecration of the church, you know, by the kidnappers or gunmen who invaded that church in Ogun State, killing the pastor, you know, on the pulpit, and abducting 7 others that the So Safe and the police were able to, you know, rescue and the rest. What does this again portend? You know, yes, the new administration is set a template for the managers of Nigeria's security, the armed forces, the police, the new national security advisor, and the rest. Isn't there supposed to be a new tempo to really beat down on this spate of insecurity in the country?
What happened in Ogun State is tragic, and it's been happening, like I said earlier. The new service chiefs, they've been appointed barely 2 weeks, 3 weeks, so we might have to give them some time, but there should be a sense of urgency. There is a silent majority in this country that believes that the major problem that we have lies with leadership. A crop of people who do not understand their responsibilities and what they're supposed to do. With a crop of people who get there and decide not to do anything. So the question then becomes, in this situation, in the prevailing conditions where you have poverty, World Bank has just said the other day that at least 1.7 million more people will be further pushed into poverty because of such drivers or such factors as high inflation rate, skyrocketing food prices, removal of fuel subsidy, and all these things. So it's a time that calls for an emergency. Maybe they need to declare, first of all, a state of emergency, and then
all over the country?
Yes. A state of emergency on security. On security. You may not declare it, but when you're...
If you understand a state of emergency, particularly in the military parlance, if you open your curtain...
So I'm not speaking in military terms or military parlance. You don't have to say there's a state of emergency, but there is a sense of urgency that you should have with regard to what is happening. There should be a 360-degree turnaround, because whatever we've been doing in the past hasn't worked. So is there something different that we should
Can we really categorically say it has not worked, or we just expect much more? Because if you look at, motorists traverse Abuja, Kaduna, Abuja, Lokoja, Okene, freely up to Kano now. Maybe the black spots in the issue of terrorists, kidnapping, some isolated areas, not so isolated in Niger State. We still have them in Katsina. Of course, Zamfara is still ever on the boil and part of the Sambisa forest. But the Nigerian military have been doing a wonderful job, you would say.
Obviously, security forces have been doing what they can. Depending on how much resources they have and how much synergy they have between the different security forces. But it doesn't seem to be enough, because every day when you listen to the news, there are cases of kidnapping, of banditry, of terrorism, of criminality and rascality. So that means that it's not enough. Whatever they're doing is not enough. And like I mentioned earlier, it is an overwhelming case. But you are a leader, so you have to find solutions to whatever problems that we are facing.
And the problems we're facing now, according to a former governor of Sokoto State, Tahiru Bafarawa, is that of food insecurity, because of, the rising cases or the insecurity in the northeast and the northwest, preventing farmers from, going to do the only work they know. So, yes, food scarcity, food prices hitting beyond the roofs.
Former Governor Tahiru Bafarawa has legitimate concerns. He's not the only one that is worried. I think many people within the country are worried because it's obvious that more people are going to fall into poverty because of lack of food security. The security challenge already is ongoing. It has been ongoing for a while, and so it has prevented farmers from going to farm. And so it's not only the northeast and the northwest that will be impacted. The entire country will be impacted, because even the middle belt, places where we call the food basket of our nation, in most cases you have attacks and farmers cannot go to their farm. So if they cannot farm, they cannot then transport food or have the food transport to other parts of the country. So it's an entire country problem, and he is right to say that the new president should focus squarely on that. No government wants large swathes of its population in hunger, and which is a security risk. Yeah. So you're not only talking about criminals who have the profession of killing people. When people are hungry, it is a security risk. I was talking the other day about an expert at the National Bureau of Statistics who said that at least 40% of Nigerian children between 0 and 5 are stunted. What I didn't say, I didn't explain why that is the case. She explained that it is because of malnutrition. When people do not have the food to eat, proper food, adequate nutrition, from the age of 0 to 5, they become stunted. 40% is a huge number. So these are some of the things that need to be addressed quickly. As I said,
very quickly,
a sense of urgency.
Yeah, very quickly indeed, Constance. And some people are even asking President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to go into negotiation with these bandits and terrorists. Maybe like late President Yar'Adua did with the Niger Delta militants. Is there any correlation? Would that really bring the desired peace, like at least we see in the Niger Delta, even if it's not 100% and the rest?
Those are two different cases. And you have to look at a place like Kaduna State where some people were paid. I think there were Fulani headsmen, they were killing people, they were paid by the former governor, and that did not yield positive results. So who are you paying? What do they want? What are they looking for? Are they just criminals hiding under different, different umbrellas.
Guises. Are they Nigerians?
Are they Nigerians? So we know that politicians have in the past, brought in people from other parts of the West African region to use them for political purposes. So why should you be paying these people? Again, we have new service chiefs. It is something that they have to sit down and look at comprehensively and decide the best solution to that problem.
The beauty of the service chiefs is that they are all battle-tested, in various theaters of war around the country, from the northeast to the northwest and North Central. Well, we're wishing them very well in their endeavors, and all we want is a secure Nigeria. Thanks so very much, Dr. Constance Ikokwu.
You're welcome.